Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the grand finale, the final carnival, the last hoorah, the last dance. You know any other ones, Gary, for the final
I call it
act?
I call it the little finger week. The chaos is a ladder. We
Yes.
come up. We thrive off the Cyril Graysons and the 3,000 receivers of the world and kind of have our fun.
Welcome to week 18. This is the final week of the regular season. Last year, this would have been week 17, and now the math suggests it's week 18.
The math suggests.
So we're going to start you off with analytics here on the show. So this week it's wild, and you got a small taste of it last week where there were just a few games that had no relevance in terms of standing or playoff implications, and I'm going to point at that Detroit game, the Detroit Seattle game, where Gary, you were like, you just got to stay away from it.
Yeah,
no, man. What? But it's
Brutal.
when you should have known, because there's nothing on the line. When there's nothing on the line, just do this, do that, send this guy Brown in the backfield, let him go for it. There's no incentive for any playing hard other than just, Pro Bowl style playing. And I'm going to remember that for this week. Some people are probably trying to find competitive. All right, let me start because I know this guy. No, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go to meaningless games and just try to find funnel players that won't get benched. But this is going to be a wild week. You have a couple of those games on Saturday, which are going to remove some of the teams. We're trying to gather as much information as we can, and I think, like you just mentioned to me, this is probably going to be a week where you think you need to prepare less, but you probably even need to prepare more if you're serious about these entries.
Definitely have to prepare more. There's no doubt about it. Like, you can't kind of go in blind, not knowing what the scenarios are for every team. And I think that's a good place to start. And for this week, we want to do something a little bit different, where normally we go game by game as far as the top environments of the week, the places that stand out to us. I think what makes most sense for this week to kind of help prepare you, any listeners, is kind of rapid fire. Every game, talk quickly about scenarios, environments that matter, that might not matter, players that might sit, that might be playing, things like that. So, talking about that Seattle-Detroit game, my thought was it's a backup quarterback. I just didn't think there was enough skill in that game to play up to what it did. I thought it legitimately, I'm serious, I thought it legitimately was.
I know, it just sounds funny.
I thought it legitimately was a keep the ball on the ground, let's get the hell out of Dodge game, and it went the other way. Now, there is the interesting part about this week is obviously this is the second year with 14 teams in the playoffs, 7 on each. So there's actually less games that don't matter at all than you would think.
Yes,
and
that's good.
It's good
because
every team has like a little, even if it's like a 5% sliver of chance. There's like the Ravens, for example, they have an 8% chance, I think, of making the playoffs, and we could talk about that. But they're gonna still play.
You treat those as normal.
Right.
You treat all those as normal. Yeah.
So so why don't we go game by game, kind of rapid fire? I sent you a list of an order, and we'll go from there.
Yep, I got it. Perfect. And you say this is the week that you need to be the most prepared, and this actually is the week, and this is crazy for me to say, I am by far the least prepared. So let's do this game by game style because trust me, I need it.
Yep.
And I believe you wanted to start with Green Bay, Detroit.
Yep.
And as far as I understand, just from a side eye, I saw on Twitter and whatnot, it's like Rodgers might play, might not play. Adams needs like 20 yards to catch Jordy Nelson. That's really all I know. And it's going to be indoors, right? This is in Detroit?
Yeah, it is in Detroit. Yes, 1:00.
So that's good.
Yep.
And then Detroit, you saw last week. They're like, look, D's not trying, but we're going to throw these young guys out here and maybe get some points. Oh, by the way, told you Swift wasn't going to get anything in terms of work.
Yeah, they ended up.
No reason. He's legit probably one of their franchise players right now. No need to get him injured or anything like that out there coming off an injury.
Yep. So my take on this game is the Green Bay side you almost have to just avoid because LaFleur's playing games here. We don't know if he's going to be playing the starters or not. He's actually gone on record more than not saying he is going to play his starters, at least for portions of this game. What that probably says to me is that he wants to keep them warm. They're about to have a bye. there's always these kind of like rivaling trains of thought between coaches in these scenarios, right? We've seen McVay over the last couple of years completely rest players in this spot. We see Tom Coughlin, even when the Giants were like locked into the 5 seed, play their players until through the entire game.
Yeah. And you also saw Wes Welker tear his ACL in week 17 in a meaningless
38-year-old quarterback. You have a lot of important skill position players. I think if he does do the thing where I think it's a half at most, which basically takes all these guys off the board, because you can't play Jordan Love in that case. You can't play Aaron Rodgers for a half. You're not spending up at Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon for a half. So at that point,
Jones and Adams are 100% out by halftime. I think Rodgers, just do the math. Like, the guy's got that toe.
Yeah. So
why?
Basically, this game's a stay away, despite the indoors, despite the environment. The only player I'm playing at all is Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a top 5 receiver of the last 3 weeks, whatever it is. I think he's still right under 7K. It's fine. They're getting Goff back this week. They'll probably be throwing the whole game, so he's fine, especially in GPP pools. But other than that, I don't think I'm touching anyone in this game.
Perfect. So that means we're going to go to Indianapolis, who needs to win for their playoff lives against Jacksonville, who is the worst team I've ever seen. And this is something to say for
the Giants. The Giants are the worst. Jacksonville's the second worst.
Yeah, we'll get to that. See, the problem is, when you watch the Giants, you're like, oh, come on, Galladay's good. Oh, you could see what Tony's going to be. Shepard. It's like there's still some, if some guy was in there, if Aaron Rodgers stepped in there,
if it wasn't Mike Lennon.
When you watch Jacksonville, it's like, who are these guys, especially without James Robinson?
I agree.
Oh, my God. I don't know what it would take for them to win. But obviously, so much is on the line for Indianapolis. Supposedly, they haven't won in Jacksonville in 8 years. It's like one of these idiots who tell me, 12 came out 3 straight times on roulette. Now it's never going to come out again. No, how about this? There's a playoff caliber team who's been playing great for months, playing a piece of garbage team that couldn't beat the Jets.
Yep. It's a very good point. So this game, I think Jonathan Taylor's probably the best overall play on the slate. I don't think you get too cute with it. You fit him in where you could fit him in. He is 9,300. They have to play the entire game. They're winning in. They lock in the 6th seed if they win, but if they lose, they could fall out completely. So they have everything to play for. They're playing a crap team. I think their approach will be to win through Jonathan Taylor. There is some incentives for Jonathan Taylor too. I don't think he can really reach them. He needs 266 rushing yards for 2,000 yards, which is obviously an elite club. No. I doubt he gets that.
You do that stuff when you're just chasing the record. They're chasing the win. Yep. I think the only chance it wouldn't be great for him is, I think the first half is huge in this game. If Indianapolis actually takes an early lead, you're going to see Jacksonville all right, the season's over. But if Jacksonville's D plays tough, just to even keep it close, it could be, rough sledding for him. Like, he might get his, but it's not going to be that easy. Yeah. That easy, In
that case, I think I don't like Carson Wentz ever in DFS just because ceiling is always a concern for him. But if you're going under the field on Taylor, if you're doing mass entry or whatever, I think it makes sense to sprinkle in some Wentz at 5,800. The Jaguars pass D is not good. It's a direct pivot to him. I would go very, very small. Very, very, very small.
I hate that. To me, there's no way he even hits the ceiling, because Jacksonville literally is so bad they could not even take a free touchdown.
No, I would agree. But my point is, if you think that they're making it tough on him and literally putting 9 people in the box to stop Jonathan Taylor, that is a Carson Wentz 26-point game, and he's 5,800. So at that point, it's okay. I'm probably not even going to use him, but if I do, it'll be like 5% in non-Jonathan Taylor lineups. That's really it on the Indy side. And then the Colts D obviously is in play here. Pittman is an okay mid-tier wide receiver. There's not as much value as you'd like for a normal last week of the season. So at sub 6K, he's okay. But he's stuck around like this 55 through 62 number the entire season. And it's because he doesn't break out. He has 17, 18 point games. He doesn't have the 30-point game, except the one time in week 8. So,
But no Jacksonville, right?
Not really. Marvin Jones has some sort of big incentive here. So if you're looking for 4 catches, he gets a $500,000 bonus. These things matter.
He'll get those. He'll get those 4
right,
catches.
Exactly. So if you're looking for if you are going really deep on the Colts and you're looking for a bring back, I guess he's the guy. But no, you don't need to use anyone on Jacksonville.
All right, Washington to the other worst team, the Giants, who it was so interesting watching. I was just kind of checking on Game Center last week when the games are going on, and even when they were down multiple touchdowns, you would never see the Giants throw the ball.
Nope.
So they were just conceding the game.
They did not throw the ball. He dropped back like 12 times total. He sacked 4 times, fumbled 4 times, threw the ball 4 times.
I guess evidence suggests that they're going to stick on a similar path. They're literally running on the year.
Jake Fromm starting this one. They're back home but you don't touch anybody. There's zero. You don't even touch the Giants defense. You don't touch anything on the Giants. On Washington, it looks like Gibson's playing. He just got removed from the injury report about an hour ago. He's fine, although why would you risk it with the guy that you're hoping to be your running back of the future, at least for a couple more years in a meaningless Week 17 game when he's been perpetually hurt? It makes me not want to use him very much. I would imagine it's going to be a split backfield with Patterson. I liked Patterson if Gibson didn't go. Now I kind of want to stay away. Washington defense certainly in play. They're like mid-tier 3,100. That's fine. If Ricky Seals-Jones is ruled out, John Bates is the bare minimum at tight end. I think that's okay. Besides that, I'm pretty much a pass.
If this wasn't the Giants doing their stupid thing where they're punting on the air, running every play, I would say this is perfect for a dumb idiot environment where they're just handing away touchdowns.
Yeah, the Giants can't move the ball. They just can't move the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, Heineke technically has incentive. So they already said Heineke's starting. If he plays 60% of the snaps and gets a win, he gets $125,000 in bonuses. That's definitely something that he's going to be going for. So do with that what you will. I'm not using Taylor Heineke, but he is incentivized to play well.
Now let's go to one that I love for the carnival. Like nobody cares. Good environment indoors. You kind of seen it already in the past with these kind of teams, division rivals. You got Chicago, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And you have Cousins coming back, from what I understand, indoors. They're out of it. You gotta like some guy. It's not just going to be hand the ball off every day. Nope.
And word is the Vikings are playing everyone, even Cook and Jefferson and Cousins. Obviously, Chicago, they don't even have their own draft pick. The Giants do, so they have nothing to really tank for at all. Dalton starting, which I think is really good for their pass catchers. We've seen Darnell Mooney and him have some success together. So I think Mooney's an interesting option at that mid-tier wide receiver range. Komet went for 6 for 71 against them last game. That's okay for a cheaper tight end. And then Montgomery's definitely in play too on the Chicago side. Minnesota's the side I'm looking at though. Cousins will be in my build. I like Cousins Jefferson stacks. I like them bringing back with a Mooney or something like that. Cook is an option. Not as great of a matchup for him. Vikings D definitely in play against Dalton. You can throw Osborne in and double stacks. These guys are all alive. Both these teams are going to play their starters. It's a division game. They want to beat each other. You're right. It's one of the few meaningless games on this slate that can definitely have fantasy success. So.
Yeah, and you didn't get to see it last week because they were playing at home against the Giants, who refused to throw the ball.
Right.
But look for potential Justin Jefferson, like 200 yards.
Agreed.
I'm not kidding.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Kidding. Like a wild one.
Yep.
Here's a game that has a lot on the line for one team, but also still somehow feels like it's going to be one of these weird environments where they're handing away some free points. This is Tennessee, who has to win for the 1 seed. Couldn't be bigger.
Yeah.
They're going to have, I've said this 19 times, as healthy of a Julio Jones coming back to the lineup with A.J. Brown indoors at Houston with a running back they just gave 26 carries to in their last game. So you have tons of possibilities on that side. They want to go into the playoffs full strength, starting to click. So it's not also like, hey, let's get a quick lead and then you just run the ball. I feel like you're going to see throwing, you're going to see running. And Houston, they're at home. They've been lingering around these past couple games.
Yeah.
And
Mills isn't bad. Mills isn't bad. If Mills can keep him going at all, with like the Mills Cooks connection is definitely there. There's going to be noise from this Tennessee side for sure. So yeah, as you mentioned, they have everything to play for. The Chiefs actually play on Saturday, and that's their biggest direct competition to the 1 seed. But even if the Chiefs lose on Saturday, the Titans still need to take care of business, because there could be some funny business in which the Bengals or the Patriots can somehow come up to the 1 seed. So
real funny business.
Right. So basically, everyone's in play on the Titans side. I think sprinkles of Tannehill is fine, as he has the healthiest receiving core he's had in a while. A.J. Brown's definitely in play. I love Deonta Foreman here. Revenge game. Texans really bad against running backs. Clearly has kind of established himself as the bell cow over there, especially if they get control of the game in any case, or if they, the thing with receivers like Brown and Julio they're perfect, get a PI thrown in the end zone, get down to the 1 yard line. That's why Foreman's kind of always in play for these 1 yard touchdown type things. So really like him. But Julio I think is an okay sprinkle, but I just don't know if he has it anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's more so just like to put him in as an element into the game, even if it's just opening up a little bit more for AJ Brown or the not stacking the whatever you want to call it. They'll put a legitimate cornerback on him.
Yep. Cooks is definitely in play on the other side, man. Like he's still only 6,300. Titans have been a funnel against receivers for most of the year. Definitely is the guy that I'm looking for on the other side of any of these plays, or just by himself in builds. He fits into a lot of mid-tier constructions. I think Brevin Jordan's a fine tight end punt once again. Titans aren't bad against tight ends, but they also give up a lot of targets to them, like 7 targets a game to tight ends. So Jordan's like 2,700 is pretty locked in as the tight end one there. No one else. Burkhead, I mean, he has incentives. He can make up to 250,000 in bonuses if he has 103 total yards. But it's not a good matchup for him. The Titans have been good against running backs, especially in the second half of the year.
I feel like they're going to get him there. They just re-signed him.
I think they'll try to get him there too. And it's worth noting that he has those incentives. But I just there's better running backs in his range for me this week. So.
All right, so let's go to Pittsburgh, Baltimore, who technically can both make the playoffs. Extremely unlikely. I think both of it hinges on Indianapolis losing at Jacksonville, I believe. But even if it's not, it's extremely minimal chance.
And they're all 1 o'clock, so.
I hate this game. Mm-hmm. You're talking about 2 division rivals who normally get nasty with each other. It's very unlikely that they're going to put a poor effort in on either side. In Ben's last game, and Baltimore made life miserable for Stafford last week. And Baltimore doesn't have a good pass defense, as you know.
They have a really bad pass defense. So
I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, so
they play too hard for me. I don't want anyone playing hard.
I'm starting to lean in that direction as well. But the big differentiator for me is it's looking like a lot of rain in this one. Let me see. Yeah. Let me take a look again here.
To me, that just puts an exclamation.
Yeah, right. It's looking like rain until all day Sunday, rain in Baltimore. So, as you mentioned, they both technically have something to play for. I mean, the Ravens are like that classic, if we win and 5 teams lose, we get in type of situation. So they're really unlikely. But Pittsburgh has a chance of sneaking in. They need a win.
That
in the
sounds
Colts
like your friend in fantasy trying to convince themselves like they're going to come back. Like, okay, well, if Justin Jefferson has 1 catch and Elijah Mitchell doesn't get a touchdown and stays under 50, and the plane that's carrying the whole Bengals crashes in the mid-flight, I could win this thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and if their tight end 2 gets hurt, and it's like. Ah, man. So anyway, my difference here is if it was clear weather, given that it's Ben's last game, given the Ravens have been so bad against the pass, I would have made an argument for the Steelers passing game here. But if it's going to be downpouring all day, I think I'm leaning away here. Also, out of nowhere, I liked Claypool, and now Deontay was just taken off the injury report. Really surprising. He was almost ruled out, I think, just like 30 minutes ago. He might be playing. So that just kind of muddles up the waters even more on that Steelers skill position side. If the weather turns, and if we get like kind of some sort of, note that it's not going to be so bad, or if it's just a drizzle, in MME, if you're 150ing like me, I will sprinkle in like a couple hand-built Ben lineups for his last game ever against a really bad Ravens pass D. But that's about it. Huntley, I would like 5,700 at home. His floor is so high with the rushing. But again, a lot of it's dependent on weather. He's okay. He's also got a high ceiling. But I think you play the defenses here. You can play Mark Andrews. You could consider Freeman because the Steelers' run D has been really bad. And, week 18 just gets weird. So, why not? But I'm with you. Overall, I think this is a game you can kind of play less than some of the others.
All right, so let's stay in that division then. And this one definitely has the potential to be really weird and wacky. And this would be Cincinnati at Cleveland. I believe from the quick check I did before we just started, Cincinnati said they're not going to be starting Burrow. Mixon did that thing that I heard about in college campuses where you make sure you get COVID in the beginning so you have a whole semester not worried about it, catching it. This is what kids are doing out there. And, you heard it here. You can't say it publicly, but this is what's going on in backyards around college campuses. So, he got the quick COVID now in a meaningless week. He's good for a Super Bowl run. So, fire him up proudly after this week.
The quick
knowing
pre-playoffs COVID.
the intentional mildest COVID before the playoffs. I mean, this is playing 5D chess.
This is PPC right here, pre-playoff COVID, just like everyone should be doing this. I don't know what everyone's thinking.
Yes, so going back to the game, we got Mixon and Burrow not playing, which basically probably takes maybe the receivers, because they're young and any sort of time is good time. Maybe the Higgins and Chase get a half in or something like that.
I think that's what it's going to be.
This is going to be their backup quarterback, which obviously makes the Cleveland defense at home, which has still been pretty good all year, seem appetizing. I think they're like 2,600. And then I wouldn't want to play somebody like Chubb, franchise player, because if they get up, they'll just give a bunch to Johnson and stuff like that. Also as a reward for Johnson's good year. He's earned it. But those guys under Landry are appetizing to me.
Oh, me too.
Higgins and Peoples-Jones.
And Hooper, man. Hooper's got a great matchup. Great matchup. The Bengals, against tight ends has been their one real weak spot. We saw what Andrews did to them 2 weeks ago.
And Keenum is likely to look towards the tight end's way.
Yeah, so this game's weird, right? So okay, I think as you said, I think Chase particularly gets a first half. He needs 45 yards to break the rookie single season receiving record. I think they force feed him those targets pretty
he's
big.
Get 49.
So here's where I'm looking with the Bengals. It's that Chris Evans, Samaje Perine running back spot, because all of it's getting funneled to these dudes. If Perine's going to be a lot of chalk, give me Evans, who's the receiving back anyway. I think the Browns actually might win this game, get up big, so he might be on the field more. Here's my thought too. If the Bengals are resting, they're sitting Burrow, so they don't take any chances. Mixon's already out. If they give a half to these other guys, why wouldn't they sit their defensive stars too, right? Like I would imagine most of their defensive starters only play a half as well. At which point, it's just another tip in the cap of these Browns pieces. So I think Keenum at 4,800 is okay. I really do. We know he's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, right? And he's been a starter for many times throughout his career, and he's sub 5K. So, assuming they're sitting key defensive pieces at some point, the Bengals, you compare him with Peoples-Jones, you compare him with Hooper. I guess you compare him with Landry or even Njoku if he plays. I think is okay with that tight end spot. Yeah, but I'm with you. Avoiding the Browns running back spot altogether. Both Hunt and Chubb are questionable. I would imagine they don't want to go super heavy on either of them. They're both important parts of their game plan for next year. So, it's the Browns D to me. The Bengals D, I guess, is fine. And then it's the Browns pass game. The only other place I want to go, and I want to kind of hear a little bit more about this spot of what the Bengals plan on. But, if you're looking for 3,000 receivers this week, we could think about maybe the Bengals, third receivers or whoever that is, like the Mike Thomas guy, Stanley Morgan. This is very large field, like small sprinkle punts.
Bank?
Yeah. So yeah, interesting game here. Really interesting game. I think it's worth looking into.
So now we're on to Tampa Bay, Carolina, and from what I understand, the little piece that I saw is Ronald Jones isn't playing.
Yeah.
I heard Antonio Brown's not playing. I think Fournette is on the IR, which means he's not playing. You have Evans still kind of with that maybe potentially limited hamstring. Definitely don't want to push him too hard because now he is super integral to any sort of playoff hopes. So everyone's going to be looking at that chalk running back, probably Vaughn, right?
Yeah, we have Vaughn Bell. Le'Veon Bell split.
No, Le'Veon Bell, dude.
Yeah, they got the same amount of carries last week. Same amount of snaps.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and
No, well, I would say that's different though because Ronald Jones was in there. I would love to know if
he got hurt. But he got hurt. He got hurt in the halfway through the game. So
yeah. No. Well, if you let me finish my thought, Gary. But I was going to say I would love to know what the split would have been if that was no Jones from the first quarter on.
Yeah. Because
you can't rely on Le'Veon. Like he's so slow. Like he's not going to be able to get you those first downs.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This game in general, the Bucs side, it's completely dependent on how they want to play. I don't know how they want to play yet. Their seeding is still up for grabs. They can go anywhere between the 2 and the 4. That said, they are still guaranteed a home playoff game at least in week 1. They can't get to the 1.
They gotta win though if they want. No, but trust me, if Andy knows this next sentence I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure Tom Brady knows it. They got their ass handed to them in St. Louis, in Los Angeles. if they lose, they're guaranteed to play the Rams on the road. If they win and the Rams lose to the team that McVay's never beaten, San Francisco, then Rams have to play Bucs in round 2 in Tampa, where they can probably beat them.
Good point.
And then that gets them to the NFC. No, it's not just a good point. I think it's the final point.
Okay, fair enough.
Because they beat the crap out of the Bucs in LA.
In that case, which I agree. I just think if they can get this game in hand, they were gonna want to take it easy if possible, which makes me like the running backs more. I think Vaughn and Bell are still in play. I mean, they're only 2 running backs on the roster. Like, especially if Vaughn's gonna be chalky. Like, I'm fine playing some Le'Veon Bell here. It's just a volume play and a GTO play at that point. But okay, so let's talk about incentives here. Brady can get $1 million in incentives in this game. His are more unlikely. He needs to be top 5 in passer rating, top 5 in completion percentage. The passer rating one is in sight. The completion percentage one is tougher. But Gronk has $1 million in incentives in this game, both of which he can get. Basically, he actually has
he's getting them.
He actually has 1.5 million in incentives. He's not going to get the last 0.5, but 7 catches, he gets $500,000 in this game. He needs 7 more catches.
He's getting them.
He 85 yards. He gets 7 for 85. He gets $1 million.
He's getting them.
Okay,
he's getting them.
So
he's getting them. Brady loves the guy.
Right, and then but the last one is 3 touchdowns. So 3 touchdowns. He's probably not going to get that. But 7.
He might.
He might. So if he goes,
I swear to God.
So if he goes 7 for 85 and 3, he gets $1.5 million in incentives. If he just goes 7 for 85 and don't worry about the touchdowns, he still gets $1 million in incentives. So
if he gets 1 in the first quarter, mark my words, he's getting 3.
Yeah, but you
if
talk
he gets
about
1 in the first.
You talk about Evans being integral to their playoff run. Gronk is just as much so, especially when you take into account his blocking and everything like that without Godwin, without Brown. So I just think if they get this game in hand early, they need to make sure that these guys are healthy. Evans needs 54 yards for that 1,000-yard receiving record he cares so much about, which would be 8 straight years of 1,000 yards. You know he cares about that, so they're getting that for him. So you can guarantee 55 yards out of Mike Evans. I don't know what else he gets. So yeah, man, if you're so sure they're going to go all out for the entire game, I love Brady stacks. Like I get Carolina's D's been good, but Brady's a killer.
I mean, I'm not gonna go back on what I said, but the whole game type of thing, I can't guarantee it. If they're beating the crap out of them, then the game is won. I know they need to win this game.
Yeah.
They do. That one home game means nothing when you're staring at it is so huge. Imagine I was telling you right now, all right, who's gonna win this game? And I made you take a pick, and it's the Rams hosting the Bucs next week in the playoffs. Who are you gonna pick?
If the Rams are hosting the Bucs, I'm taking the Rams. Yeah. I'm taking the Bucs. I'm sorry. If the Rams are hosting the Bucs, I'm taking the Rams. If it's in Tampa Bay, I'm taking the Bucs. Especially with
so that's you. So like I said, you know it. I know it. You think that whole
especially
staff
with
know
just kind of how banged up the Bucs are right now.
Exactly. But which is why it makes it that important.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree with you. All right, so yeah, that's an interesting spot. On Carolina side, Cyril Grayson. Cyril Grayson is the receiver I'm interested in on Tampa. He's 4,400. He's kind of surpassed Tyler Johnson as the next favorite receiver. He's running a ton of routes. He had 8 targets last week. I think Tyler Johnson's also good for large field tournaments, but
yeah,
Grayson's
it's interesting to see Tyler Johnson's catches once Brown was out for the rest of that game, because when Brown missed time, he was the natural fill-in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it'd be.
They're both
I get
good.
What you're saying.
They're both good. Johnson's 4,200. He's 6 targets. Grayson at 8 targets is 4,400. I wouldn't play them together. If I'm double stacking, I want one of Evans or Gronk. But I like either of them for sure. Moving today and in the playoffs, I think they're going to run 3 receiver sets with those guys.
I think I'm in now. I think I've sold myself on a Brady, Gronk, Evans. Because everyone's going to want to use one of the smaller dinky receivers who had their games last year, and with those incentives on the line for both of them, man, that's a good shot at this. The only thing you need to do you know where this game is?
Yeah, it's in Tampa Bay.
We just need that offense on the other side to put up something to keep Tampa Bay motivated.
Yep, and the way you do that is through the air, right? The Bucs have the best run D in the league. They are a subpar against the pass. So DJ Moore particularly, but Robbie Anderson, as gross as that is to say, are okay bringbacks.
Quick random outside of fantasy question. When I looked at the potential likely matchups in the playoffs, it looks like it would be Tampa Bay hosting San Francisco, which is like, the old Brady Garoppolo. And just my mind was like, wow, of all the teams that would probably suck to have to play, if you're San Fran, it's the one team that shuts down the run. But do you think San Fran's run like supersedes good run defenses with like all the wackiness they do with Debo on the outsides and stuff like? What was like?
Yeah.
Do you think they would struggle running against the Bucs? I guess is my question.
Yeah, I still think they would struggle running against the Bucs. They'd probably have a little bit more success. But I think what they would try to do is make their run game into screen passes and wide receiver screens and dump offs and like reverses and things like that. I don't think they would be trying to run through the tackle.
That's a tough draw for them, huh?
Yeah, it would be a tough draw for sure. Especially if it's going to be really. We'll get to them when we get to them, but it's going to be really interesting to see what they do at quarterback this week because I think Garoppolo is going to be back, but not at 100%. So they're going to run the ball down their throats this week too. But yeah, no, it's a fascinating spot.
All right, I was just.
It's a great point. So
I can't wait to watch that.
Next game, New England, Miami. This one's pretty straightforward. New England needs to win, but there's no one really appealing for fantasy purposes here. Damian Harris is 6,700, but is truly questionable. Yeah. I think because they are so deep at running back here and they trust Ramondre Stevenson so much, I think if they can take it easy on Harris, they will. Knowing that they need him for the playoffs, and now that his price is hiked up, it's really just Stevenson and the Patriots defense that I'm playing in this game at all. And then Waddle needs 3 receptions to break the rookie receiving record. Just based on that alone, like I think he'll get volume, but there's no good offensive matchups against the Patriots. So, it's none of these guys are. Gesicki's a terrible matchup. Waddle's not great. You're not playing the running back. So it's I think you can consider the Dolphins D as a salary relief play against a rookie quarterback in his biggest spot of his career. Besides that, I'm not going to this game too much.
All right. So now we got New Orleans, Atlanta. If this was almost any year prior, the best games just making stacks was always when New Orleans visited Atlanta because sometimes their D would destroy them in New Orleans and you couldn't really trust. 2 years ago, this would be such a juicy game to be looking at. Julio and Ridley and Kamara and Michael Thomas. And now people are looking at just squinting at this. Who the hell is a Zacchaeus? But New Orleans is one of those teams that has the outside chance of getting in, correct?
Not only an outside chance, it's a pretty straightforward chance. They win, the Niners lose, and the Niners play the Rams. The Niners could lose, they're in. So it's very direct. The New Orleans has a very good chance of getting in, and both these teams play at 4 o'clock, so there's no scoreboard watching here. They're both trying, the Niners and the Saints, obviously. So
wow, I didn't do my proper research on that. So if they win this is crazy. So you know what? I hate this game because it means a lot for New Orleans and Atlanta because it's a division rival, and they always kind of want to beat them. There's like permanent bad blood between the two. What's his name? The coach giving Atlanta the throat slash back when Devontae Freeman was there a couple years back. You're going to get a spirited effort from Atlanta, at least I believe. I don't like this game very much.
Yeah, the scariest.
And I know. You see, Kamara indoor and Taysom Hill against Atlanta. I understand. I don't like it.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. The scariest thing for me in this game is that it's gone down from a 48 open over under to 39.5, which is
only 11.
It's like, what?
Or 9.
It's gone down 9 points.
That's unbelievable.
Like I really don't understand it actually. So that scares me. But
like, do you think in Vegas, like there was a guy stormed in and he goes, "Hey, what the fuck are you guys doing?"
But it's
I saw the over under you put out for that game. What are you fucking out of your minds? And then they all looked at each other like they made a huge mistake, like the boardroom. Like I feel like there was one of those moments where a boss of a company who you never see, maybe once a year, and who storms in, and then everyone's terrified. I feel like that's what happened when they came out with the.
You know what? No one's ever gonna listen to this. That's from our. It's Roger.
Oh no! Don't say it. Don't say it.
Fine, delete that. But that's what it is.
I know, but I feel that many people know this reference when you're in a department at a company, and then somebody definitely when the superior comes in, like Jenkins, what did you do with the reports?
So here's what I'll say: it's in Atlanta.
Jenkins.
Well, no matter how you shake this, it's in a dome. I'm very interested in Taysom Hill because listen, the Saints can get to their implied totals 21.5. They could do that with 3 Taysom Hill rushing touchdowns. He hits a floor every single start he plays. So now all we're asking is for him to do a little extra because this game means something to hit a ceiling in a week with so much variance where it's very straightforward. He's a mid-tier quarterback at 6,200 that you know exactly what they need to do in a matchup that isn't very difficult. Hell yeah, I think that guy can have 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown and easily. But here's the thing. I'm playing him naked most of the time. I don't want other pieces of this game. I don't even need a run back on the Falcons. If you want to pair him with like Deontay Harris because he's 3,200 as a skinny stack, fine. But besides that, I'm pretty much just going naked Taysom Hill and my favorite secondary stacks, and that's it. Because, I just think that, it's either going to, him or Kamara has a good chance of getting there. Kamara is an interesting pivot to Taylor. But, besides that, I'm not really looking at this game.
Gary has Sunday dreams of making it to the end with a naked Taysom Hill. So where are we going to go from here? We're going to go from Atlanta, where the players play, and we ride on them things like every day.
All the way up 95, as far up as we can go, into the tundra.
Jets, Buffalo, and while Buffalo has a lot on the line, in terms of maintaining their hold on the division, along with potentially creeping up the standings and changing their seeding. Theoretically can get all the way to the 1, I believe. But even if not, they can bump their way up. The Jets obviously don't scare you. And I do feel that the Bills want to be entering the playoffs, clicking on all cylinders. I do think you're going to see some of the best Josh Allen, and you're going to see all the big players have their say.
Yep.
And the Jets are, they scare me too much to even use one of the small guys on a run.
There's no one anymore.
Last week.
There's no one. Barrios is out. So it's like you got Michael Carter if he's in just from a catch floor. Besides that, there's no one. Yeah. So here's the thing. You hit on it. The Bills can go anywhere from the 2 seed to the 7 seed. They have to play. They're playing the Jets. They're at home. They want to beat up on them. Very straightforward. Here's the problem. Snow and wind. 17-mile-per-hour winds. This is like playoff Buffalo weather. This is normally a playoff week, right? This is like real bad, crusty, cold, windy weather in Buffalo. So this leads me towards a couple things. Devin Singletary, who has completely taken over that backfield. The Jets are by far the worst run defense in the league for fantasy point purposes, okay? And he's 90% of the snaps to himself. So, he'll score a touchdown in this game. The question is, what else is he going to do? So you got Singletary for sure. I'm still in on Allen because of his rushing floor. So, I think he's still a good, worthy quarterback, but I'm not doing Allen doubles in this game. It'll be Allen skinnies. And in the skinnies, I'm looking for the low ADOT guys, the Knox and Beasley. I'm not ruling out Davis and Diggs. You include them, especially, they're in your pools. But if this game is that bad, it's going to be Singletary and Allen on the ground, and it's going to be, the underneath stuff, especially as that's where you beat the Jets through the air. The Jets' outside corners are okay-ish. They get beat by tight ends and in the middle of the field. So all of this, the weather, the spread, everything adds up to the running game and the middle of the field. And I still think you attack it, but if I think people are loving these Bill stacks like more than anything in the world, and I like it fine. And maybe I'll sprinkle in a couple doubles here or there, but my instinct is to go run game and skinny Josh Allen. You don't need to bring back anything on the Jets side.
All right, now a game that I guess you have me looking forward to the most. I didn't know that it was such a straightforward path.
Fire this game up. Yeah, this game's exciting.
Oh, fire it up to watch. I'd be terrified to play players from this game because of how much is on the line for both teams. Like this is nervous. This is true playoff intensity. As you saw in that Rams game last week, that was called playoffs on the line for both teams, and nobody could really go off because it was scary out there. It was just hard. I'm looking for not hard-nosed football, the football that old school players love to watch. That's what I'm out on. Yeah. And this has the potential for that. And I just want to say just a couple things looking at this matchup. San Francisco has owned the Rams. The Rams not only have that motivation to know that the Bucs, the reverse of what I said, that 2 seed where they get 2 home games and they can feel comfortable about their situation with only one on the road staring at them against the Packers, unless the Packers are upset. And then also just that motivation to beat San Fran. San Fran's beat the crap out of them so many times. And man, this is going to be a good one. And then the Niners, like what you said about Garoppolo. Oh, man, I would not trust Lance in a heart. Oh, my God, I would never trust Lance in this game.
Yeah, so okay, let's break it down. So the Rams can slide anywhere between the 2 and the 5 seed. We spoke about this on the Bucs side, so you know what the Rams have at stake. The 49ers are very straight up. They're winning in, okay? If they lose and the Saints win, though, they are out. Now, they could still get in with the Falcons winning, which is very feasible, right? The Falcons can win at home against the Saints, no problem. So it's not the 49ers can still get in, but they control their own destiny. So let's start on the Rams side. I agree with you, except for this. They're at home. You know how important this game is to McVay just to beat the Niners. 2, and this is my biggest tip in the cap of playing some of these Rams stacks, is they are not comfortable going into the playoffs at the current state of Matthew Stafford. They are not, and they need the game. Yeah. So they're going to do everything to get this passing game cooking. Everything. And they're at home. Cup is going for every receiving record in the book. Stafford, and by the way, those records are fugazi. They should have asterisks on them because it's 18.
The biggest asterisk you've ever seen in your life.
But
every record post changing grabbing the receivers, it's all fake. Every single one. Mediocre flags are keeping fake drives alive. There's fake quarterbacks.
Well, and an extra week now. So like it's
No, I know. So that's I'm taking it one step further. Anytime, do you see the rookie who threw for 4,000? Yeah. How about I show you a compilation of their 3 and outs that got kept alive?
Well, that's what's funny. Like
on a guy's receiver.
Can you imagine if like John Elway and Steve Young were playing today? These guys would be freaking 4,800 yards. Like they'd be right up there with Mahomes, and you know what I mean? It's like.
So you send this to one of the nerds, because I have figured it out, and. So the 48 touchdowns thrown by Dan Marino is the craziest record you will ever see in the year. And all you have to do, nerds, if you can do me this favor, you take the total touchdowns that were thrown that year, then you take how many Marino threw, and you divide that number into the total. That's and you get the percentage of total touchdowns that he threw. Then take a quarterback this year and compare what percentage of the total touchdowns thrown would that equivalent would be. So let's say Marino accounted for 11% of the total touchdowns. See what 11% of the total touchdowns this year thrown were, and that's what Mahomes would have to throw. This damn he didn't beat Marino's record. I believe the calculation, I did it once, is 86 touchdowns. You have to throw 86 touchdowns to beat Marino's record.
What? Professor Nikic, math professor of the Look Who's Chalking Pot, we'll be back next week with why Jonathan Taylor's 1,700 yards are nothing compared to Emmitt Smith's 1993 season.
No, that's the opposite.
I'm just fucking around. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. That was just.
They gave those guys 85 carries. They were concussed 4 times, and they still ran for another 20. I'm not laughing at your concussions, people who aren't listening. I'm just saying what happened.
Okay, so here, just quickly. I like Stafford to Cup. I like Stafford to Beckham or Van Jefferson. The Niners are vulnerable to outside receivers. They're very good against tight ends. Higbee is not in play. Michelle's in play as a volume-based running back. Same thing as last week. He's going to get every carry. They're not bringing Akers back before they really have to. We talked about that top stack tool that Awesemo has. The Rams are coming through as number 2 right now by a good margin. Yeah. With Stafford only coming through with like 4% of ownership. Like this is a spot to look at. Now on the other side, we talked about the Rams defense, rush defense being so good. They're going to try to run the ball. But I can't go to Eli Mitchell in this game, in this matchup, especially if he's not going to be catching balls. So I'm looking at the receiving options as bringbacks. I think Kittle's my favorite one. Samuel's going to be dealing with Ramsey. That said, they get him in.
I will say this. Go watch the last game. They stick Ramsey on Ayuk because what they were doing, and I bet you they do it again. It was almost as an FU to Ramsey. Every play, they'd line up Debo in the backfield. Yep. So then they just abandoned trying to put Ramsey on. Yeah,
and if you look at that last game too, both Kittle and Samuel, they didn't explode, but they both had serviceable games, like 5 for 80 and a touchdown, both of them, or something like that.
No, Debo had a huge one.
I think it was 5 for 97 and a touchdown. And
then they had a long rushing touchdown.
Oh, is that what it was? So Kittle had 5 for 50 and a touchdown, for which for a tight end is whatever. And Samuel had Oh, you're right. He had a rushing touchdown too. So he had 5 for 97, a passing touchdown, 36 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Yep. So, I think he's fine too if you could afford it. The problem is very expensive, hard to get him in.
Can't afford it. It's like Gary's apartment he's shitting.
No, definitely can't afford it. So yeah. Anyway, interesting game. Really interesting game.
Yeah, and now we'll make our way to our final game, my favorite game. And even though Arizona has something to play for, they're already in. By the way, quick question: if they win and the Rams lose, do they take the division lead?
Yep, they have the division.
Okay, and just like you said, how the Rams want to be entering the playoffs, hitting full steam. Well, you saw, especially in the second half, you saw the Cardinals gaining some of that steam, and I thought it was going to be a game where he went off, but man, the Dallas defense gave everything, and they made him earn every inch. But still, you saw Murray looking way better. You saw that offense starting to play better. Edmonds got ruled out. Connor isn't ruled out, but my guess is you wouldn't, knowing you're in the playoffs, knowing you need one of those running backs, you're not going to be running Connor into the ground when he missed a game and is just coming back. I love looking at Kyler Murray once again indoors. He was looking at Ertz a lot again last week. And if you want to either use Kirk or Green in a double stack or just single stack him with Ertz, and then on the other side, you see Russell Wilson now, like little farewell tour. You want to use Metcalf or Lockett, please feel free. It's going to be indoors. I feel like this is a great opportunity for Carnival numbers.
Agreed.
Great opportunity.
Agreed. We're in agreement. For sure, man. Like Kyler, and it's a great point. You actually just because I'm going to be in on whatever running back is active because it's such a good matchup where Seattle's just so bad against the run. Whether it's Connor or Edmund, I guess I'm not going to Edmonds if he's banged up, but I
think he got ruled out.
Oh, did he today? Because he was questionable still as of this morning, but that's fine if he's ruled out. He's ruled. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It was ruled out at 1:00 today. So there you go. So that makes things even more interesting. So now you can use Eno Benjamin now too. And now, like, as a very cheap running back, as a pivot, he's going to get the Edmonds role, even if Connor's active. I don't have an issue with that. And he's 4,000. So you can use him. But, I love Kyler because he's going to be the running back in a lot of ways here, right? Against a team that can't stop the run. So you really like that. And then, I don't know, pick your poison of Lockett Metcalf. Metcalf scored 3 touchdowns last week. Maybe it's Lockett week. I don't know. Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine, but it's not a bad matchup.
You're going to see some of this in our lineup, but I for whatever reason, I didn't do what I'm about to say. But in the millionaire, I'm going to try one where I'm going to go Murray with Ertz, and I'm going to go both Seattle receivers the other way. I am.
Very interesting thought there, Andrew.
And I'm going to proceed to win the million as many times as I have prior to this Sunday.
That's good.
So I believe that concludes the full slate, correct?
Yeah, that's it. So, that's a Sunday. There is a 2-game Saturday slate tomorrow. You'll probably be hearing this like right before that kicks off. I'll be hand building some lineups in that, but I'm not. There's a milli for it. When there's only 2 games, I'm not interested in playing the milli.
No, it's not worth it. By the way, just because I was bored on Christmas Eve I did one of those. I did the one gamer, and I ended up in the second place lineup.
Oh yeah,
and and it came down to the last play.
Yeah.
And if Murray threw a touchdown to anyone, I would have tied for the first and won $10,000 instead of $1 million. That's how many people were splitting it.
Well,
though.
of course, you're gonna get duped. You get duped big time. So
yeah. So in second place, I was actually in 711th place because there were 711. I mean. Even imagine that. Oh, I won the millionaire. Oh, when do they send you the million? No, I get 10,000.
Yep.
It would have been a miserable $10,000 / very good $10,000.
Yep.
But of course, didn't get that one. And we're on to the Men's Warehouse pick of the week, which is not going to actually include any players. This is my Men's Warehouse to the viewers out there. And what I'm willing to do is guarantee that if Gary and myself are brought on board anywhere to handle Look Who's Chalking next year, we're going to do a fantastic job of everything you've seen, from getting top-notch comedy and top-notch lineups. Gary's a multiple tournament winner this year. I have no actual awards or merit to back up the comedy claim. However, to all those potential companies out there, you look at what Pat McAfee has done I mean, he's blowing up left and right. You have Pat McAfee with none of the NFL experience right here for, I mean, 1/1000th of the price. So if there are any users who want to see this continue this year, let these people know. Let them know about us to bring us on, because I'm happy to do this.
Am I going to like the way I look?
I guarantee it.
Unless we can get with one of these companies to do the show, it may be our last show. So with that said, I also wanted to thank everybody who has listened to us for the last 2 years. We've had some episodes that when I check online, a lot of people listen to, so a certain amount of you have definitely enjoyed the show, and we are very appreciative of that. I definitely am. So thank you for that, and hopefully we'll be back next year in some capacity. God willing, as they say.
Yeah, no, I don't have much to add there other than I'm very appreciative of all the hard work you've put into this, Andy. I'm a boomer, as they say, with the technology side of things. It took me 3 weeks when we first started this thing up to, at the beginning of last season for me to figure out how to plug in a mic. So, we've come
I'm happy.
a long way.
Happy that I gave you a warm. I'm happy that no, we absolutely have, and I'm happy that I gave you like a little preseason before you started with the actual company you work for. I'm sure that it helped a little bit.
No, not actually. I should really give you credit for that, because not only help a little bit, and Andy's referring to, obviously I work for Establish the Run, where I'm on the mic there 4 or 5 times a week. And between 3 nights on the NBA show, and then I have my other podcast over there for sports.
And then
cars.
on the weekends, you do MSG Ringside, right, on the boxing channel?
Well, Andrew, we are waiting to see Week 18 here, and I'm going to give my Men's Warehouse pick anyway because I love the people, and that is
in a perfect world. Your company listens to this, and they start a show called Establish the Chalk, with me and you, and it opens up with a ringside like, "Welcome to Establish the Chalk."
We'll see. I'll see if I can pitch Establish the Chalk for next year because I do like it. Anyway, talking about chalk, I like Devin Singletary this week. He's my Men's Warehouse pick of the week. There you go, guys. I'm not giving any context other than everything I already said about it. So,
all right. Do you want to give us a lineup?
Sure, I'll give you a lineup. I'll give you a lineup for the people. And before I do, I'll just say,
for you,
appreciative of all of you out there. I know I have a lot of friends that love this, and other people that have found us along the way. And we would love to continue next year. Obviously, I'll be talking about fantasy anyway. I want to keep doing this with Andy because this is stuff Andy and I've been doing forever, but it is a lot of work, and we appreciate all the love. Hopefully we can keep this going next year.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'll give Gary some credit because if I won $1 million and I won on these other tournaments, you'd see me in Tampa with a couple of people on my lap. I don't know if I'd be sitting here doing. So Gary's got a true love for the game, and he's doing this, simply because he enjoys it. So
it's true. Kind
of delete what I just told you because that's kind of embarrassing. However, on to Gary's lineup.
Yeah, let's give it a go. So I don't know if we're both going. I'm going Kyler as well. Kyler skinny to Ertz makes a lot of sense to me, and then I'm going to bring Lockett on the bring back there. I do think that you have a choice basically once again here, which is seemingly becoming an every week choice to either go with Jonathan Taylor or Cooper Kupp, and it makes sense to go to one of those guys. I think this week it's a very safe spend-up option to go to Jonathan Taylor if you can make it work, and I'm going to do that here. And then Devin Singletary on the other side. It's the best matchup in the world. It's bad weather. He had 23 carries last week. It's pretty easy for me there. I'm going to go to Van Jefferson as my Rams receiver. So I'm trying to pick the one that people are not going to take very much. He's still getting the targets. He's still on the field for 100% of 3 receiver snaps. The Niners are actually vulnerable against wide receivers. And then as you dig deeper into the depth chart, their cornerback depth chart gets even weaker. So I like them, gets a third receiver there, especially for a large field tournament. I think Van is in a pretty good spot. I'm actually going to do a double tight end here. Austin Hooper in the flex. Looks like Njoku might not go either way. It doesn't really matter to me. 4,800 Case Keenum is going to be checking out to Hooper a lot. Really good matchup against the Bengals. And then my other receiver, pick your poison between Tyler Johnson and Cyril Grayson to get involved with that Bucs side of things. They're 4,200, 4,400. They fit in pretty perfectly here. I'll go Grayson in this spot just to leave less salary on the board. And then punting at defense, going to go the Dolphins. D at home, trying to play spoiler against the Patriots. It's a rookie quarterback. Maybe he throws a pick. That type of thing. So Kyler to Ertz with Lockett on the other side, Taylor, Singletary, Van Jefferson, Grayson on the Bucs, Hooper, and the Dolphins D.
Well, once again, all these games going on, of course, with no consultation other than, I guess, maybe what we've talked about because this lineup was already in. Same exact stack that Gary has. I have a Kyler to Ertz, but at least I went Metcalf on the other side of that game. I have Foreman on Tennessee, got 27 carries. He's on the road, indoors, against Houston in a must-win game. Houston's defense doesn't really scare you. Even with Lance out there, when they tried to stuff that, Wilson still got over 100 and a touchdown. Shout out for Gary to the inside tip last week. You know, it's NBA inside stuff. I remember that was a show. This time, he gave you the NFL inside tip, and it was right on the money. There was no limitations or anything like that, and he came through. So I'm going with 7 carries last week, and they know they got Henry coming back. I don't think they feel bad running this guy into the dirt like those aforementioned running backs from the 90s I just told you about, who have unfair records stacked in their direction. I'm also going with Gary's semi-men's warehouse pick of the weekend, Devin Singletary. You're playing the Jets. Game has to be won. He's kind of on a roll. That one might come back to bite you, but with the snow, hopefully he has another great game. He's on a great streak. Then I'm going with Allen Robinson for 4,000 because how about I start with the other side? Justin Jefferson for Minnesota at home, indoors, in a meaningless game between division rivals where it just has the capability of being what Seattle, Detroit was last week. And I know maybe it's a little different with division rivals, but with nothing on the line, I feel like they want to entertain the audience in these situations. I'm not kidding. I really feel like that's going to happen. You have Cousins coming back. There is no Thielen. He's getting 1 million targets. And on the other side, with Andy Dalton playing, I think you saw Allen Robinson have like 5 catches last week. It's not like there's going to be tough press coverage. I feel like there's going to be easy catches to be had by him and Mooney.
You know what? So can I just butt in there? I think it's actually fascinating, and I think you convinced me I'm going to include some Allen Robinson this week. He had 6 targets last week, 1. But 2, if you recall, he was franchise tagged this last season. This is definitely his last game as a Bear. That guy wants to get himself paid coming off his worst year of the year. Leave a good taste in people's mouths. Like, he's going to do anything he can to force feed himself the ball. So we'll see.
And because I played Foreman, I want to bid farewell to a guy who never cracked 4,000, and if he did, maybe he did once. Good old Nico Collins down there.
Love Nico.
Goodbye to him.
This is my farewell to the 6 times
I'm never playing
Nico
him
Collins
next year. I'm never playing him next year. It's over for him. But he's got there playing the quarterback that tends to feed him more than Tyrod. So give me that in a farewell tour to that home stadium or that home fan base for the year. And then I'm going with the Browns defense at home, 2,600. They're going to be facing a back-off quarterback with nobody in there at home in front of their fans. So that's what I got for you.
I like it
this week.
I actually do like it. It's you know what? It's very Carney-esque, like Week 18 should be. You got Nico Collins and Allen Robinson and the Week 18 All-Stars, Deonta Foreman. It's going to be great. So it's we'll see.
And obviously, feel free to replace Nico with your favorite guy. It's kind of like playing the Mega Millions. I don't want to get a printout ticket where they give me the numbers. You want your number to hit it.
It's a joke.
You put yours.
When we post it on socials, can you put like a little Joker card in that slot? Put a $3,500 Joker.
Insert your signature player that you want to say this was my guy all year, you know?
Actually, you know what? If there's ever a week to really do that, it's this one with there will be a 3,000 receiver heard from, and we probably haven't even mentioned him on this podcast. So there you go.
Definitely. One final thank you for the last 2 seasons. We hope to see you again soon. Good luck in Week 18. Good luck with whatever you do for the playoffs. Good luck in life, because Lord knows you probably need it if you're listening to us. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good one, and thank you again.
Happy New Year. We're past the statute of limitations.
Get the chalk. Get the chalk.
Pick up the fucking chalk.
Pick up the fucking chalk. Fucking chalk. I'll sync that one up.
That movie is actually called Glengarry Glen Ross. So there you go.
And the sequel, pick up the fucking chalk.
Pick up the fucking chalk.